what does selling out look like? Not just in the music industry, but on YouTube as well, because people want to grow their YouTube channels. And I think, well, there's an easy way to do that. I got an idea for a YouTube channel. I want you to travel around the world and get punched in the face at all the big major kind of tourist attractions. That'd be really great. Yeah. Eiffel Tower, you get punched in the face. Sydney
I traveled
Opera House,
around the world to get punched in the face.
Yeah. Like, there you go. Great. You'll do way better than Pints with Aquinas.
Yeah.
There are things that you can do to be famous that will make you miserable. And then there are things that you can do that aren't going to do as well as other things, but this is what you're passionate about. And yet at the same time, you want to respect the platform so that what you're doing that you find meaningful is reaching the most amount of people. How do you personally navigate that, maybe with your music and now with YouTube?
That's a great question, and there's a great tension that we face because you have to make stuff that's palatable and consumable for enough people. And then you also don't want to compromise what it is you're doing. So I think, quote unquote, selling out would be to lean into something that works even if you don't believe in it because it worked one time. This is called audience capture. I think the ultimate way of selling out is the audience got to me. I made this video, and I don't even know if I all the way agree with all of it, but I made this video, blew up. So I'm just gonna keep making the same video over and over and over and over again. And then the audience captures you instead of you capturing the audience. So now you have an audience that you may disagree with, and you just have to keep feeding the machine. To me, that's what the most tactical way of selling out on YouTube is that. And I think any of us can be liable of that. You get something that works and all of a sudden everybody is into it. And it's like, but is that what you set out to do? So I think one, you have to be clear on your vision. Two, you have to make sure that just because something works doesn't mean you keep working it. Something may work, but you don't necessarily keep working that thing because you will attract an audience that is going to be very apprehensive if you show your hand and do anything else, right? I think that the easiest example I could point to is that there's been a lot of folks that have came over to the conservative side and they just kept making the same video over and over again. The libs are bad, the libs are dumb, dunk on the libs, look how stupid the libs are. And I'm sure they believe some of that to an extent, but if everything is the same video over and over again, I don't know how, like, is that why you got on the platform? To just say how bad the other side is? These guys, instead, are you actually presenting anything of beauty and virtue and goodness to the world and trying to point people to something bigger? So in our case, like, we got a really big spark with making videos highlighting the inadequacies of celebrity pastors. Okay. That really worked for us 2 years ago. And then about a year and a half ago, we said, we're not doing any more celebrity pastors videos. We might have one here or there sprinkled out, but generally speaking, we're going to try to find something that someone said that was good, and we're going to celebrate the good things people said. And we're going to make our reaction videos not about tearing people down.
This is exactly what you were saying about rap earlier. Like, it appeals to the pride of life.
Yes.
And this is exactly what those kind of videos do.
Yep.
That's why they work so well. And now you're trying to do with your channel, it sounds like what you think maybe some of the hip hop world is doing by moving away from that negativity and then trying to sell what's actually beautiful, which is sometimes a much more difficult thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am intentionally looking for things on the internet to react to that I love, that I think is doing good. So we reacted to your clip with Jonathan Rumi, and we were like, man, Jonathan nailed it. I loved what he said here. This is good. This is awesome. Great job, Jonathan. Great. Matt, great. Pints with Queen is great. And one, I just think it's better for your soul to listen to that video versus like, he said something here that I didn't like, or I disagreed with this, or did you see, right? So one, I just think it's better for your soul. Two, it highlights other creators. It highlights other channels, and it highlights a broader community of people that, in my opinion, I don't like the idea of competition. I prefer the idea of collaboration and community. I'm not competing with any of my contemporaries. Right. We're collaborators, and we're colleagues, and we're in community together, and we're learning from
100%.
each other.
Yeah, like Ruslan is not my competitor. Like Planned Parenthood is my competitor.
Hello.
Like these evil industries that are trying to drag souls to hell, they're my competitor. You're my brother.
Yeah. And so I think that keeps the ego in check. So the more I could point attention to other creators, the more my ego is in check to say, this thing isn't about me. I'm just a guy that God just breathed on this thing, and let me be generous with my platform, with the people I highlight. And if someone watches my reaction video of you and Jonathan and they discover The Chosen, which we've heard a lot of people discover The Chosen from my channel, fall in love, read their Bible more, get back in church, or someone discovers Pints with Acquaintance because I reacted to it and they get into your channel and into your community. To me, that's a net positive.
It's actually a great way to spread positivity around the internet, because if I do a reaction to you or Brett Cooper or somebody and they hear about it, they feel like honored that I would speak highly of them, even if there's a couple of points I might take issue with. And that's nice. This is lovely. And there's this like a network of people who are all trying to buoy each other up rather than tear each other down.
Yes, I did a couple reactions of a creator named Metatron. He is an Italian medieval historian kind of creator. And one of the things that blew him away was like, this is one of the first videos I've seen that someone just didn't tear me down and rip me apart. Like, this was like a real wholesome video, and you like celebrated me. And I was like, yeah, you know, and then we later found out that he's a Christian, and he's was really just excited to talk about his faith more, and he's been talking about his faith more. Not I'm saying that was the catalyst for that, but it was like, yes, like keep talking about your faith. This is so cool. I didn't know you were. So like I highlighted his testimony on my channel, and you know, now he seems to be a bit more bold with the way he's talking about his faith. And you know, again, I'm not saying I'm taking credit for that, but Metatron, that was like just a guy I liked. Like I didn't know he was a believer, but he said something. I forgot what video we reacted to, and I was like, man, this is good stuff. Let's celebrate that. And so then doors open and you start building relationships with people, and you can do collaborations that way. Not to say that that's the end goal, but yeah, I think overall, to come back to your question, like that to me is how you avoid selling out and not sliding into just feeding the algorithm, you know, is, hey, we're going to celebrate and champion goodness. And if we celebrate and champion goodness, and what are you actually offering to the world, right? Because it can't just be, that's bad. Like if that's your content, if your content strategy is that's bad, it's like, oh man, versus, hey, this is good. God's ways are good. God's design for humanity is good. God's design for sex is good. God's design for our lives is good, and his ways are good. And this is the misunderstanding. They're actually perverting this thing, but let me point you back to the goodness, you know? So I think that's like been the content strategy the past year and a half. And I just overall feel better about
And what's cool is because you have a small team with you. Yeah. Once you say that to them, we're going to change directions, there's going to be some accountability there. Yeah. And it was scary, to be honest with you, like, because there's a lot to make fun of in our Protestant, you know, celebrity pastor world. There's a lot to roast, and sometimes rightfully so. And I'm not judging the channels that still do that. Because I think some of that does serve a purpose, but I couldn't. And I started meeting a lot of pastors, a lot of celebrity pastors or megachurch pastors, like not celebrities on a national platform, but just like within, they're running big organizations. And I was like, these are good guys. Like, these are good guys. They're trying to do the best with what they have. They're helping people. And let me highlight some of these guys that I'm actually meeting. Many of them aren't on social media at all. Some of them don't have public profiles at all, but they're pastoring these massive churches. And let me highlight what they're doing and the good that they're doing. This is something I keep coming back to, and that is like, if you and I, in the context of friendship, one of us was to say something that was a bit rough around the edges, or maybe we didn't even really mean, or something you totally disagree with, in the context of friendship, you might be like, well, hang on. And you might correct me. And I might be like, well, yeah, that's kind of what I meant. I guess, you know, and we can arrive at a conclusion that we kind of both basically agree on, or maybe we'll disagree, but it'll still be charitable. Whereas online, you listen to somebody say one thing and you just pick that out and then just, Yeah,
well, you told me earlier,
drag them over the coals.
A third of the comments on your own channel you said are negative about you.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me. Which I think what is going on in people's lives where they're going online and then they're needing to unload whatever thing they're having on you or on me.
Yeah.
Let me not enable that in any way, shape, or form.
Well, it's funny because you would never say it to we all know this. This is so, maybe it's not even worth saying, but I remember people just in the comment section saying something very like, this isn't even that bad, right? But they were talking about how red Jordan Peterson looked. Like, wow, that guy looks so red. That's very whatever. But you would never, no one would ever go up to him after a conference and say, hey, you look really red. Like, we just act differently when there's a screen in front of us. It's like when we're on the highway, there's another screen in front of us and we act like idiots.
Yeah.
So I do occasionally dip into the comments, but I would say increasingly I don't look at them.
Yeah.
Because I'm much more interested in what like Ruslan and Trent Horn and Jimmy Akin and people I respect think about the content I'm creating than like, you know, there might be wonderful people in the comment section, but there also might be trolls. And so it's, I think if you were to change your direction based on the comments, you just run around in circles.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.